The Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 both belong in the budget phones category. The ZenFone Max Pro M1 launched here in the Philippines on June 7, 2018, whereas the Redmi Note 5 arrived in the country on May 11, 2018. The ZenFone Max Pro M1 is regarded as a battery king, while the Redmi Note 5 was deemed as a camera beast. With a price difference around 2,000 pesos, which of the two smartphones should you purchase? Let's find out here. Hey guys, this is Daniel from Manila Shaker. The Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 is built with an aluminum mid-frame and a metal alloy back. This smartphone, which measures 159 by 76 by 8.5mm and weighs 180 grams, is slightly larger than the Redmi Note 5, which measures 158.6 by 75.4 by 8.05mm and weighs 181 grams. Both smartphones lack the infamous notch and have thick bezels on top and bottom. In addition, the two devices don't have any physical or capacitive buttons since they sport on-screen buttons. Moving on to the rear part of the devices, both of their vertically aligned dual rear cameras are located at the back at the top left corner. The fingerprint scanners on both smartphones are circle-shaped and positioned at the middle as well. The rear parts seem to have a really similar design. The only differences were that the LED flash of the Asus device is underneath the dual cameras, whereas the LED flash of the Redmi Note 5 is in between its dual main cameras. Another difference would be the placement of brand logos. The logo of Asus can be seen underneath the fingerprint scanner, while the logo of Xiaomi is found on the bottom part. The usual power button and volume rockers can be found on the right side of the smartphones. Both of their SIM trays can also be seen on the top left side of the phone. At the bottom of the smartphones, you'll find speaker grills, USB 2.0 port, a microphone, and a 3.5mm audio jack. What's different between the two are the shapes of their speaker grills. The design of the two smartphones is simple and modern. It was hard choosing which of the two has a better design since both share a lot of similarities. If I were to pick, it would be the Redmi Note 5, for the sole reason that it isn't as easily smudged as the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1. Additionally, the two devices came with their own respective cases for extra protection. The Zenfone Max Pro M1 features a 5.99-inch IPS LCD display with a resolution of 1080 by 2160 pixels and an aspect ratio of 18 by 9. On the other hand, the Redmi Note 5 sports a 5.99-inch full-screen FHD Plus IPS display with an aspect ratio of 18 by 9 and a resolution of 2160 by 1080. As you can see, the two share the same screen size and resolution. Watching movies on these devices were enjoyable since both of their displays produce vibrant images. Furthermore, the color and details don't change even if you view the phones from different angles. Both smartphones feature dual rear cameras. In terms of specs, the Asus device has a better camera since it has a 13MP plus 5MP dual main cameras, whereas the Redmi Note 5 only has a 12MP plus 5MP dual rear cameras. On the other hand, the Redmi Note 5 has a higher front camera than the Max Pro M1. To fully determine the quality of the two smartphones' camera, we took some shots in various scenarios. Color-wise, the Asus shot was accurate and close to real life. In addition, the details of the sky were clear and detailed. Unfortunately, the same could not be said for the other details. The buildings at the back ended up looking a bit grainy and some parts also looked blurred. Compared to the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1, the Redmi Note 5 produced a sharper image. Looking at the sky, the shot also has more contrast which added more details. In this shot, the Xiaomi device definitely won. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 image produced a more vibrant output. In the Asus shot, it had a bluish tint on it, making the flowers look slightly violet. The latter also produced a more detailed image, which is noticeable when looking at the leaves. We also took the same image but this time with portrait mode. The better shot belongs to the Xiaomi smartphone as it was able to capture the subject fully. On the other hand, the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 wasn't able to capture the subject even though we made sure to focus on it. The portrait mode looked messy and it wasn't clear where the focus was. We tried taking photos in our veranda during the evening. The Asus device's shot was dark, making it hard to look at the details. In addition, it also looked grainy. Hoping that it might look brighter with HDR mode, we tried it out only to be disappointed as the output looked really blurry even though we waited a bit before moving after the shot was taken. The blurred image might mean that the phone has a slow shutter speed. We took the same sample shots but this time with the Redmi Note 5. This smartphone really does take clearer pictures as compared to the Asus device. As you can see, the ZenFone Max Pro M1 gives brighter shots. In terms of the shot taken with HDR mode, it turned darker, making it harder to look at the other details. The lights also look scattered. These sample shots were taken inside. This time we tried to test out the device's portrait mode. Admittedly, the subject looked sharper in portrait mode as compared to the one taken normally. However, the bokeh effect was only applied to the books at the back, so this means that the effect doesn't work that well when the background is close to the subject. Looking at the walls, the Redmi Note 5 gave the image a yellowish tint and had more contrast. The details are much sharper as well. In regards to the portrait mode, we noticed that the bokeh effect in the Asus shot is more prominent compared to the Xiaomi shot. In our opinion, the bokeh effect looked more natural in the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5. Once again, the subject looked blurry in the Asus shot since the camera was not able to figure out where to focus on. Fortunately, it had more details in the portrait mode, although the bokeh effect looks off here due to the lack of consistency on the blurred parts. The subject here looked sharper and is clearer compared to the previous shot. As for the portrait mode, it looked more natural. In these sample shots, the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 managed to produce a more vibrant image. Based on the color of the tables, the Redmi Note 5 shot has a yellowish tint and the red popsicle sticks lost some of its colors as well. These images were taken inside a bright lit room. In this case, the Xiaomi shot once again produced a sharper image. Unfortunately, some parts of the image have parts that looked overexposed. This is the same painting that was taken in a dim lit room. Surprisingly, the Asus shot had a yellowish tint here. Detail-wise, the Redmi Note 5 was sharper, which is noticeable on the details of the tower behind the bridge in the painting. We tested the device's portrait mode once more, but this time with a human model. The Asus shot produced a brighter and more vibrant image, which can be seen on the subject's clothes and hair color. Meanwhile, the Redmi Note 5 shot still had a yellowish tone based on the subject's skin color. In terms of the bokeh effect, the Xiaomi image looked more natural than the Asus shot. Let's move on to the selfie shots. The images produced by the Asus device looked a bit dull as compared to the Redmi phone, which produced a really bright shot. The Asus photos had a vintage look to it, and the colors were far from real life. As for the Redmi Note 5 shot, the colors were a lot more vibrant. Detail-wise, the Xiaomi looked sharper. For some reason, most of the selfies taken by the Asus device ended up looking blurry, which again might be due to its shutter speed. On the other hand, in terms of the beauty mode, the Zenfone device looked more natural than Xiaomi's shots, in which the subject's beauty marks disappeared. In addition, the portrait mode can be used in the front cameras of the two devices. For mid-range phones, both smartphones had decent audio. However, the two tend to produce a scratchy sound when on maximum volume. In addition, although the Asus device produced the louder sound, the Xiaomi smartphone produced the more solid one. As for the battery juice, both can last you through a day with more than enough to spare for the next day. The Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 is packed with a bigger battery capacity, having 5000 mAh compared to the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 with 4000 mAh. Both devices seem to pack large batteries, which is an advantage for them. The Redmi Note 5 lasted a day of usage, and it took 2 hours to fully charge it from 20%. On the other hand, the Asus smartphone can last up to 2 days of usage, but it takes around 3 hours to charge. Let's talk about the smartphone security feature first. Both of them sport a fingerprint scanner, which was expected. In terms of the fingerprint scanner, the Redmi Note 5 was slightly faster than the Zenfone Max Pro M1. Out of the two, the Asus device is the only one that sports a face unlock feature. It works fast, and it's a good thing to note that it won't unlock when the owner is asleep, since its face unlock doesn't work when the user's eyes are closed. For users who wear glasses, don't worry, you'll still be able to unlock your phone even if you have glasses or not. The ZenFone Max Pro M1 is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 636 processor coupled with Adreno 509 GPU and a storage variant of 3GB of RAM plus 32GB of internal storage. Similar to this, the Redmi Note 5 is powered by the same chipset and GPU, although it has storage variants of 3GB of RAM with 32GB of internal storage and 4GB of RAM with 64GB of internal storage. We tested some benchmark tools and these are the results. Even though these are mid-range phones, we didn't have much of a problem playing mobile games with it. The games we played were Asphalt 8 and Mortal Kombat X. Not much logs occurred and the graphics were really clear. As for additional features, both phones feature their own version of gestures. The Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 contains gestures that let you launch applications while the device is inactive, whereas the Xiaomi smartphone has gestures that serve as shortcuts. The two smartphones offer a good quality phone packed with powerful batteries. Both of them are already available here in the Philippines. The Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 is priced at 9,995 pesos, whereas the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 is priced at 11,990 pesos. In terms of camera capabilities, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 produced sharper images with more vibrancy. As for the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1, it did great on the battery category. The two smartphones were able to live up to their titles. Which of the two do you prefer? Comment your thoughts down below. Once again, this has been Daniel from Manila Shaker. Please don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and do subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching!